Next on Conversation at WQED, a champion's homecoming. An emotional return for Pittsburgh hero Danny McCoy. After his sled hockey team wins the gold at the Paralympics in Sochi. Tonight, Danny is here to share his experience and to talk about what he's overcome to fulfill his dream. Danny McCoy and his gold medal on Conversation at WQED. It all starts right now. Danny's laughing because we're going to start crying here in a minute, but with his mom and dad. Good evening. I'm Michael Bartley. Our guest tonight has been playing sled hockey since he was a child. Dan McCoy always had big dreams, but this year he made them happen, winning the gold at the Paralympics in Sochi. The whole country was watching. The whole world was watching. Tonight, Dan and his mom, Angie, and his dad, Mark, are all here. They all were in Sochi, and they're taking your questions, so send them to WQED's Twitter and Facebook pages. We'll get them on the air. Thank you all so much for being here. I know it's been like this whirlwind tour, Dan, but okay, we have to, even your dad's here. This is big. Mr. I can't be on, I don't want to be on television guy, you know, but you got to show us the medal first. Yeah, everyone in the studio was so, check this out. And it's got to weigh almost 10 pounds. There's quite a bit of gold.
It's pretty heavy.
Wow.
I've always said I have to be in my chair, my wheelchair every time I wear it, or I'll fall over.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Tell us, just, you know, people were crying in Pittsburgh. They were so happy for you. And the video we showed, we got from KDKA, and we thank them for giving that to us. When you got off the plane in Pittsburgh, I know it was a long flight, but is the adrenaline still going?
Yeah, I mean, that whole flight, it was such a long flight that like there were so many thoughts that were going through my head, like, oh my gosh, I just won a gold medal. It still hasn't sunk in, like at this point, but I mean, it was just starting to sink in, or just to come to my thoughts at that point. And I just been thinking, oh my gosh, I won a gold medal. I'm getting to go home. I'll see all my friends and family over the next few weeks here. And when I got off the plane, I like relaxed, because I was like, all right, I'm home.
Right.
I'm in Pittsburgh. There's no more stress or anything. It'll just be all fun and games here, like from here on out.
We'll talk about the game and the Russia, but everybody's trying to get your attention now here in Pittsburgh and so forth. And we met you, I think, Angie, that might have been, I guess, a month and a half, 2 months ago.
About 2 months ago.
And I know you were nervous. Mark was nervous. All of Pittsburgh was nervous. And here he wins the gold. Tell us, you know, take us back to the day of the championship day.
It dragged on, for sure. The game was...
you just wanted to get in there and play.
The game, it was an 8 o'clock game. So we every day when we were in Sochi, we woke up early, had at least a 7 o'clock wake up. So that whole day we had, I think, 2 or 3 meals before we even got to the rink. And we got to the rink about 2 hours early, hour and a half, 2 hours early. And that whole time, everyone was just kind of sitting in their stalls waiting for the game to happen. And we brought 17 players, but only 15 could dress for the game. So that whole bus ride over there, we were all thinking, who's going to dress for this game? Like, it's a gold medal game, biggest game of everyone's hockey career. Who's going to dress and everything? And me, like, having this goal for myself since I was 8 years old, I really wanted to play in this game. Like, this was all I was thinking about. This is all I've been thinking about since, like, I was 8 years old. So as soon as we get in the locker room, coach tells everyone to sit down, and he goes, McCoy and another kid, you guys are in.
Oh, really?
Because I had sat the game out, the last semifinal game before the final game.
But you played several games up to that point.
Yeah, I played 3 games out of the 5. So when the coach told me, like, McCoy, you're in, I almost lost it. I just kind of put my head in my hands, and I remember thinking to myself, it's here. Like, let's do this. And I looked at a few of my teammates and just kind of nodded my head, and I was like, we're ready to go here. So waiting that whole, we probably had about an hour and a half just to wait for warm-ups. So waiting that whole time, everyone's kind of just getting loose, getting ready for the game. And then it comes time to put that jersey on with the whole team. And everyone gets their gear on and waits to put the jersey on until everyone's ready. So it's a big team thing to put that jersey on. And as soon as I put that jersey on, I just exhaled like a really big sigh of relief, and I was like, all right, I'm ready to go here.
I know everyone's telling you this, but everybody in Pittsburgh watched. Okay, it was so great that it was national television, international television. You played quite a bit during this game. You played all 3 periods, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, the coach throughout every game had some decisions to make whether he wanted to play one line more than the other. But thankfully, I got a decent amount of playing time in the last game, and I tried to make every shift count as much as I could. So
we want to show one more time the actual medal ceremony, and we have some pictures of you, and I know you two were there. I'm going to get to you. Just hold on here a second, okay? But so, what was going through your mind when they played our national anthem, and you beat a team that I think was favored to beat you guys? Is that true, or was it sort of an even deal?
I think we were I think favored over Russia, but the fact that it was in their country just made it that much more difficult for us, I think.
Here you are.
Yeah.
They put the medal around your neck.
Yeah.
Our flag goes up. What was going on?
I just remember thinking this is the greatest day of my life. I made sure when we were singing the national anthem here, I made sure I was screaming it. I wasn't even trying to sound like I was singing. I was just screaming at the top of my lungs.
Wow.
And I had my arms around I see our captain to the left of me there. I had my arm around him and another guy to the right of me, and I just remember thinking, this is it. I did it. And I looked over at my family as much as I could, just to show them like how happy I was, and just to pretty much give them a look of thank you, everything, because I realized how much they sacrificed to get me here. They all traveled thousands of miles to see me play in a few games. So
it was emotional for you too.
Oh my gosh, so emotional. Yeah, yeah. It's still hard to put into words. The whole feeling of it and everything.
You can let that rest. I know you're tired of holding it. I just want everyone to see. You don't have to hold it for the whole show.
It's okay.
So I know. Okay, how emotional was this? It was a long way, very expensive, but look what happened here.
You want to answer this one?
It was an emotional roller coaster. Yeah, I mean the whole context that Dan is setting up, where this is the highest level of competition in sled hockey that any Paralympic athlete can achieve. So, so in context, here it is. He's worked 10, 12 years. We're going to Sochi. We don't know if he's going to play. So you realize the outcome was great, but going into it, we didn't know if we were even going to get to see our son put the jersey on and hit the ice. The coach had very difficult decisions to make. So it was truly a matter of just trying to endure the first game when he didn't play and just relax and understand that he's on the team. But then the release of emotion in the second game.
Because it's a privilege to be picked.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And no matter, because
absolutely.
I'm not blowing smoke here. This was a huge deal just to get picked, right?
Right. And so when you put it in context, out of the thousands of players that there are now in the United States that are playing sled hockey at a pretty competitive level, so 9 forwards, 4 defensemen, 2 goalies are going to dress for that game. So being one of 17 is a huge honor, but there's a huge difference between that and actually getting to play in the game. And so the outcome was great, but it was absolutely a roller coaster.
Well, and he brought up about the game, the first game he dressed. We're in the stands, and we didn't know whether he was going to dress or not. And when he hit the ice, both of us just lost it. The emotions, we both started crying.
Full tilt man cry. Yeah.
It was a bad cry.
Had to have been. Oh my.
Yeah, it was just because you realize how hard he worked, and he did. He sacrificed. There were a lot of times where, going through middle school and high school and college, that he gave up a lot of social things to do with friends because he had to be either lifting or training or on the ice. It was hard.
You got so much publicity, but just to remind everybody in Pittsburgh, from the Cheswick area, you went to Fox Chapel High School, right? And the University of Pittsburgh, you're technically a sophomore, but you took the semester off to be an Olympian gold medalist guy. Who wouldn't do that? What's been what have your friends said since you got back?
Everyone's been extremely supportive. I mean, people I knew in high school, but really never talked to in high school, have been sending me messages on Facebook and Twitter saying how proud they are of me and everything. And they've been making up hashtags on Twitter like FC goes to Sochi, all this kind of stuff. So it's been really cool experience to know I have the support of a lot of people from around Pittsburgh. So.
What was I know you mentioned the whole building up to, is he going to dress, is he going to play? That had to be nerve-wracking as a parent, but what about the game? When you knew, okay, you see McCoy in the back, the whole world's watching this deal. Were you just...
Oh my gosh, I don't know, the Korea game. Did you see the Korea game at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, the Korea game, he comes out playing, and was it your first or second shift?
The second or third, I think, yeah.
That he sets up and gets an assist on a goal. So to hear his name announced to have
Don't you love that? She's hitting me already because of you.
And then, okay, that would have been enough. I could have died right then.
Right.
I would have been happy.
Yeah, right.
Then he sets up this beautiful pass to Adam Page, who scores. I mean, the pass, he saw Adam through a bunch of Koreans, players, nailed it. It was stick to stick, and Adam scored. And again, they said assist by Dan McCoy. And I went, I birthed him.
Wow, unbelievable.
He
Just
played,
amazing.
he made a contribution,
Yeah.
and that was it. That's all, I think. I mean, putting words in your mouth, Dan, I just think that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
I asked him about the medal ceremony. What did you make it through it without tears? What would you, or is it just so celebratory? What?
I think I don't even think we cried during that part. It was just so overwhelming to see the joy coming out of your kid, and to see his brother was there and his grandfather was there. It was just so much. It was just overwhelming joy, and the Russians around us were happy for us.
They were great.
They were because we were surrounded. I mean, they did not put all the Americans in one section. They had us spread
everybody
out.
was spread out.
Right.
They had us all spread out, and there were only two families. It was us and another family that were there. They were so supportive, and they were happy for us, and they were high-fiving us. And, because the Russians they played an excellent game. And you had mentioned about who was favored. We were ultimately favored, but because they beat us in that preliminary game, everyone was a little nervous.
Wow. What was Sochi like for? I'm going to ask you, but for the athletes, there was a language barrier, obviously, right?
To an extent. I mean, all the volunteers that were in Sochi helping out with the athletes and everything, most of them can speak English pretty well. I mean, it's broken English, but you could really kind of make hand gestures and everything. And you could really get whatever you wanted. They were extremely helpful to help out in any way they needed to.
Because it seemed like there was quite a bit of criticism. They had to work out the bugs. They did that for the Olympics. And then by the time the Paralympics came, which was several weeks after, everything seemed to run smoothly, as it did for the most part for the Olympics. But I understand it's a beautiful place.
No, it was gorgeous. Yeah, it was probably one of the nicest areas I've ever experienced. Just to have the mountains overlooking the village and everything, and just have the Black Sea right there. So
and where the rink was for practice and for the big games, for the big deal, that's right near the sea.
Yeah, yeah.
Like a couple blocks, you could see the Black Sea.
Yeah, actually, right outside. So when you get to the Olympic Park, it's called. It's separate from the village and everything. You get to the Olympic Park, you have to go through, I think, 2 or 3 checkpoints to get there. And when you get there, the sea is probably 500 yards away, like not even 500 yards away from the rink. So yeah, it was right there. We saw the sea the whole time we were there, so it was gorgeous.
Okay, the medal's great, but how about when you came into the studio tonight? It was like, man, look at those Olympic clothes. Those are so cool. So you got quite a bit of clothes. And by the way, the opening ceremonies, everybody in Pittsburgh, we were looking for you, but you were like hidden or something.
Yeah, even my parents who were in the arena said they couldn't see me because there were so many athletes, whether they were in wheelchairs or standing up, walking. There were so many
you
athletes
walking or in your chair?
In the chair.
Okay.
In the chair.
Okay.
Actually, it was kind of funny because I told myself before we got out there, all right, I'm going to video this. I'm going to take some pictures while we're moving. It'll be great. Like it'll be perfect. By the time I got out there, I kind of just turned the video on and held the camera up in the air.
Oh, is that
just
right?
Kind of like wheeled with one
Right.
hand and the other, and I was just kind of like swinging it around, just making sure I could get a bunch of different angles. And I looked at the video afterwards, and you could barely see like anything.
Right, right. I should remind our viewers, if they hadn't seen our story on you, you can walk, but not long distances. You mostly use your chair at Pitt and so forth. Okay, and use crutches sometimes
Yeah,
as well.
sometimes.
Okay. Okay. Before we get to your experiences, just hold on a minute, Andrew. Facebook is lighting up for you, my man. Let me go to a Facebook question so that our viewers can get in on the conversation as well. What was the hardest part of your journey to Sochi? That's an interesting question.
Going to Sochi, just the anticipation of it. I mean, getting there, all you could think about, I mean, it's kind of weird. All I could think about, I knew I had a long journey ahead of me. I knew once we got there, it was a long process through the practices and games and everything, but all I could think about was that gold medal game.
Oh, man.
And I mean, that's always in the back of your mind. Until you get there, it's always in the back of your mind. So, I mean, every day we were just trying to take every experience we could and just live it to the fullest and make sure we had no regrets afterwards. So.
Yeah, and you got $10,000 worth of clothes to take home too, is what you told me before. A lot of your family, a lot of family members went. We're going to take a look at some pictures. It was really a thrilling deal for you guys.
Yeah, it was. We basically brought, Mark and I went, and two of his friends from elementary school came with us, and Andrew actually flew in 3 days before.
Andrew is your other son. He's
Yeah.
in medical school.
He's at Drexel. He's a first-year med student at Drexel, and he flew in just for 3 days because he wanted to be there for his brother. I mean, it was just incredible that we were all there. And in addition, Mark's father came in, and that's my babushka. Do you like my babushka?
Hey, you're a lady from Pittsburgh. That's beautiful. What are you going to do?
It was rainy and windy.
Yeah, that's a beautiful babushka.
And that's Andrew's two friends, Caleb Angerman and Tommy Pilley.
You even had friends come. Wow.
Yeah.
Andrew's friends and so.
No,
oh,
his
your
friends.
your
My
buddies.
His
Yeah.
friends
Oh,
from
my
elementary school.
Okay, and this is.
My father.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
He
How
came in
happy?
from
How happy
Stoke.
was your dad, Mark?
Oh, he was dreaming about going to the Paralympics to watch Daniel for, the last 10 years as well. He's been tracking, Daniel's biggest fan.
Well, and he's 77 years old, and he had broken his ankle severely last June, and then he needed heart surgery in December, so it was touch and go. But to have him there to see this was phenomenal. We were so blessed. It was just such a,
Unreal.
you couldn't have scripted it better.
Wow.
It was too nice.
Your biggest scare. You weren't worried about security or anything.
No, not really.
But you had an issue with a cab driver. Is that right?
That was a fun time. Looking
What was-
back on it,
okay. What was that
It
deal?
was pretty funny. So we went to a pizza place in Russia, which is kind of ironic. But so one of the days the players could go hang out with their families, we decided to go to a pizza place in Adler, which is outside of where we were staying. So we go, we enjoy really good pizza. We have a great dinner, and we had to call a cab to get back to the village and everything. So we get into this cab. It's about 10, 15 minutes to even explain to the cab drivers where we're trying to go because
He's not understanding
no.
what you're saying.
No, yeah, like the volunteers could understand English perfectly well, but the cab drivers, they had no idea what was going on. So it was kind of funny. We got the one volunteer, I think, in the entire area who couldn't really understand English. So we were trying to explain to him to explain to the cab driver where we wanted to go.
Oh, what a nightmare.
The restaurant and everything. So we get to the restaurant and everything. Going there was fine. We enjoyed the dinner. Coming back, I think we got into a cab. We had some trouble getting the chairs in, the wheelchairs and everything, into different cabs. So we take off. We start driving, and I think it was myself, my grandpa, and my two friends from high school in one cab, and we start going, and my grandpa, about 15, 20 minutes into the ride, realizes, hey, we're going the wrong way. We're not going to the right Radisson Blu Hotel. There were two of them, and apparently he was going to the first one, which was, I think, 40 minutes away or something. So he realizes, all right, we're going the complete opposite
And there's
direction.
no way to convey to him where you need to go.
Yeah, so my grandpa, we had to wear like badges that say our hotel and say who we are. So my grandpa shows the driver his badge, and the driver kind of smacks his hands a little bit, and turns the wheel as sharp as he could in front of a bus that was coming on my grandpa on my side.
Across the median?
Yeah. I think it was about 5 feet from us, from hitting us, and we almost hit a few people in the crosswalk.
And this was before the game against Russia?
Yeah, it was before the game.
Wow.
So my friends and I, we were all in the back seat, just kind of holding on to each other as hard as we could. I was praying as hard as I could that we would make it back safely. So yeah, that right after the bus almost hit us. The rest of it's kind of a blur.
I was just going to say, I hope that pizza was good.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, oh
it was,
my.
Yeah, it was good. But
Wow.
we get back, my buddy kind of slams the door, and the cab driver kind of yells at him, like, why are you slamming the door? And my buddy looks at him like, really?
Oh
I
man.
mean,
Well,
we made
it's
it
gonna
back. And
happen.
it's a funny story.
But all in all, you were all treated well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
very well.
Okay. All right, we're going to go to another Facebook question. I told you were a superstar. Okay, here we go for Facebook. Another question from one of our viewers. How much of a mental game is hockey at the Paralympic level? That's a really good question.
It's as mental as it gets. I mean, I remember when I was on the junior national team, my coach at the time said, hockey is I think hockey is to mental as 4:1, something like that, which means like 4 and 1 are numbers. Hockey and like the mental aspect of hockey are the same thing. They're both extremely important. And just leading up to the games, you realize, hey, you're playing at the biggest stage of your life. This is pretty much the Stanley Cup of like sled hockey, like the same as the NHL and everything. So you're really trying to prepare, even for practices. You're trying to be in your top mental state that you can be in for every time you hit the ice and every time you're in that locker room. So I mean, I was really just trying to tell myself, all right, what happened the day before is done. Whether it was good or bad, it's over. You just got to move on and just take each day as a new chance to show the coaches what you can do and show the rest of the world what you can do. And once you get on the ice, it's kind of funny. I wasn't really nervous at all when I got on the ice. I was more excited to play in front of my family, to play in front of the crowd in the arena. And I knew like people were watching from Pittsburgh, my friends and family and everything. I mean, I obviously didn't know how many people in Pittsburgh were watching. That was a shocker getting back and realizing that. But I really just wanted to go out there and just focus on the simple things about the game. Just play hockey as I know how and as best as I know how.
You're such a confident young man, and I'm sorry, guys. I know
No,
you're
keep
getting a
going.
word in
No, this
edgewise
is
here.
good.
I know, but look. When we were in at the ice rink in Harmarville, okay, I asked you about this, and you had the most. You're such a respectful young man, but you had the most extraordinary answer. And I'm not asking you verbatim, but I asked you, does it bother you when you walk or you're in your chair? As it relates to people, oh, look at, oh, this poor guy, blah, blah, blah. And you had this message about having a disability that you never really think about having a disability and the spina bifida and the whole deal.
I mean, I've always said having a disability I take it as a badge of honor. I mean, I'm doing things a lot of people really can't do, whether, like, for whatever reason. I think that having a disability has opened so many doors for me, with hockey and with just life in itself. And I think my parents have helped me out tremendously with that. They've really helped me grow up and realize, don't let your disability hold you back. You're not, like, having a disability is just a way of saying that you really, like, it's kind of difficult to walk and that kind of thing, but it's not a negative. And I mean, I've really tried to do anything I wanted to do. I've really tried to do as best as I could, and yeah, I mean, it's been an incredible honor to have one. So.
The whole concept of the Paralympics is a wonderful thing, isn't it? And I was thinking about you because I hadn't met you before, but I was thinking about you when they won the gold. Because you told me the story when we were in Harmarville at the ice rink about, here's this young man, and you had the tough pregnancy. Your spinal cord was
open. It was split.
Was open.
Yeah.
It was split.
Spina bifida
And
split.
some doctors said maybe you shouldn't have the baby. Blah blah. Were you thinking about those things when this kid reached his dream?
Mark and I reflected on this a lot over there, that there was a purpose to all of this. And the purpose really was, I mean, we can't even imagine if we would have made a different decision. I mean, our lives have been so blessed and so rich because of this little guy who just has blown all of us away. His determination, his perseverance. And both Mark and I have said to him, if you want something, we are all in to help you. We will be all in. When he made the declaration at the age of 8, I want to go to the Olympics. He didn't even know it was called Paralympics at the time. He just said, I want to go. We were all in. And it became
the family purpose at that point. That was our commitment.
And not just for you two, but for the whole family.
For the whole family.
For the whole, all your
Right.
folks, all your people, you know?
Well, my sister just said to me yesterday, she goes, do you believe, and I have a big Italian family, she said, of all of us in the family, the one we thought was the weakest is the one that's achieved the most.
Wow.
Because he didn't give up. He just did not give up, and it's just phenomenal. And he now, you know, we have the Mighty Penguins, the local sled hockey program. He and a couple other kids really were the catalysts to starting this competitive program in Pittsburgh. Zach Harding and Nevin Gray, we called them the Three Amigos. They have now opened doors for so many other families and kids with disabilities to say we can do this.
And I should mention, you mentioned the Mighty Penguins, the Pittsburgh Penguins Foundation does a great job with the ice, because ice is so limited and so forth. Dan, I'm just going to paraphrase it, but we only have about 30 seconds.
Okay.
We had a Twitter question regarding what have you learned the most from this experience?
Honestly, just work your hardest for what you want in life. Don't let anything hold you back. I mean, I know it's just it's a sport. I mean, that's what it is at the end of the day. But I mean, it's taught me so much outside of the sport. Just to work my hardest on and off the ice. Just really be respectful of yourself and everyone around you. I mean, that's. I mean, a lot of people tell me like I'm too humble, but I mean, I wouldn't be where I am without the support of everyone around me. It's not just my gold medal; it's everyone.
Congratulations.
Gold medal, so.
You are an amazingly respectful champion. That's what you are.
Thank
and
you.
we are proud of you, and I hope I speak for a lot of people in this region. And congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
For raising a wonderful young man.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry I called you a kid before. That's all right. You're a college student.
good,
Okay. You're a young man. It's all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
all,
Okay.
indeed.
Thank you.
Indeed. I just want to mention next time on Conversation at WQED, a nationally prominent force in public broadcasting. The CEO of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, Pat Harrison, will be here in Pittsburgh to help WQED celebrate our 60th anniversary. And while Harrison helps celebrate WQED's many memories and programs over 60 years, she's looking forward to sitting down right here for a conversation at WQED. That's next Wednesday night at 7:30. For now, for Dan McCoy, Angie, and Mark, what a pleasure. Thank you for watching Conversation. I'm Michael Bartley. Have a good night. We'll take one more look at the medal.